Hi everybody, my name's Dave, thanks for joining me, and today we're going to do tyre deflators. Now, I'll just put these glasses on for the minute. Tyre deflators, so they come in numerous guises. They come from a piece of stick, to a small screwdriver or implement, to a fully fledged tyre deflator, to a set of 4-inch deflators. I did in fact make a video with just the tyre deflator, and I thought, well, why am I doing a stick and things like that, because some people may want to go down that path. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do tyre deflators from basic through to complicated, and I'm going to explain how they all work, and I'm going to, if you already know, then just disregard this video. If you don't know, then you might learn something. So okay, let's get right down to brass tacks. This is what you deflate and inflate your tyre with. This is a Schrader valve. So this is a Schrader valve. And there's a bit that we press on the end there. Can you see? And what it does is it lifts that end off and allows the air to come through. That's a Schrader valve right there. So we'll start with, this is where you pump your air in. You put your connector on there and you squeeze the trigger, and it overrides the valve and allows it to go in. The valve then closes and stops the air coming back out. However, you can press this button at the top with a stick. Okay, so you get your flat bit of stick and you push down this little button on the end here. And as you can hear, that lets the air out. Not the quickest method in the world, but it does do it. Now, if you want to get real technical, you can use something like an electrical screwdriver, something with a sharp point on it. Works just the same. This is a Schrader valve cap. Always put the cap on because it stops dust and dirt from getting into your thing. Now, my car uses different types of caps. These caps have batteries in them. These are for a tyre pressure monitoring system. It's an aftermarket tyre pressure monitoring system because the ones that are fitted to cars from standard are inside the wheel, whereas the TPMS on my car is on the outside because it's an aftermarket one. This is a tyre deflation tool. You can see there's a gauge and quite a complicated end on here with a few different moving parts and twisting bits and all sorts. So if you don't know how this works, I'm going to show you. First thing you do is you push that forward. Then you screw this on to where the Schrader valve is, over the cap, onto the valve itself. And you screw this on until it stops. You don't have to get it tight, just finger tight's fine. So you can see pulling this backwards and forwards does nothing. But what we need to touch now is this. And what we do is we turn it until you see it move forward a little bit. Did you see that? There, like that. That means it's engaged onto the Schrader valve. If I keep pressing on it and then just turn this, you'll see it starts to come out. And what's happening in there is, in the valve, I'm undoing the Schrader valve. Now if I slide this back, there's no valve in there, so that lets the pressure out. When I'm finished, and I've got down to the pressure I want to get to, so let's see what we're on here. We always measure the pressure when we're not letting air out, because you can see it drops down to 0 when you're letting air out. So let's say we're going down to 20 psi. And there's 20 psi right there. Right, that's on 20 psi. I'm finished. I then push this back in and screw this back in until it gets tight. Only finger tight, it's all that's needed, and then I can pull that out. Now you see the valve's back in, so I can undo this, and that's my tyre set to 20 psi. There you go. Now don't get confused, because you may have seen a different type of valve on your push bike. You may see them types of valves on push bikes, but you also see what's called a Pressor Valve. It's a different valve, and it's only ever used on bicycle tyres. So this is a Schrader valve tool. This is there to recut the threads on the internal part for the valve. This is to cut the threads properly again. This is to cut the threads on the cap. Screws over the cap like so. But more importantly, this tool can be used to remove the valve, because you have a one with a slot in it right there. So if I push that in and engage the slot and turn this is another method of reducing the pressure in the tyres, but it's very risky because you're at risk of losing the Deflator valve, and without the valve you've got a flat tyre. There's the valve I've just taken out. That's what goes inside the sleeve. Now this tool, if you have a damaged thread, will repair this thread on here. It will also repair the internal threads for this. And also with this end you can push on this valve and use it like we did with the screwdriver. I'm going to have to pump this tyre back up. The problem with doing it this way is it's really difficult to get the valve in and out without losing it, especially if you're in mud or snow, or if you drop it in long grass, you ain't finding that valve. Right, that's the valve back in. Now, did you know that I didn't tighten it up very tight? You don't need to do it majorly tight, just hand tight is enough so it's not leaking. So that's that tyre down to about 5 psi now. We've deflated the tyre. It's still pretty solid. It's a strong tyre. It's an LT tyre, light truck. Light truck tyres have stronger sidewalls, so tyre can withstand the being reduced off pressure, whereas in a car you'll get it bulging out and it'll look really flat. Now, the fourth kind of deflator is a deflator valve like these. I don't know if you've ever seen these before, but we'll show you how they work. So as you can see, you get 4 of these. These are M&M. You can set the pressure by adjusting this bit here. These are currently set to about 25 psi. Now this threaded bit here is for you to screw. It's for you to screw your valve on so you don't lose it in the dirt or the mud. Just a storage point. So I'm going to need to put some air back into this tyre so I can let it down again. Let's do that. So that sound there is my new super quiet electric compressor. I need to get this up to about 35 psi. Okay, we're almost there. It says 40 on the gauge, but we always measure it when we're not pumping air. 35, that'll do. Take that off because we'll need it again in a minute. Okay, so we can pick any one of these and we just screw it on. That's automatically deflating the tyre. When it gets to the set pressure on there, it will stop. Now in this situation I'll be moving around the car putting all 4 on. And then by the time I get back to this one, they've all been reduced down in pressure, and that's how that works. I don't see any point in taking it any lower because I've shown you what it does. So what I'm going to do now is boringly just pump this tyre back up to its recommended pressure so I can use it on the road, and then I'll be back with you. Now you're going to get to see something that you don't normally see. So this is my TPMS sensor. This is the sensor for the battery of tyre that I just showed you, and it won't stop beeping at me. So if you take the cover off, you'll see that it has a battery in it. And it's this battery that's probably on its way out. So let's change the battery and see if it fixes the problem. Now the battery in this case is a CR1632, which I just happen to have a few of here. I carry spare batteries with me all the time. For this very reason, for TPMS mainly. Now you must try and be careful to hold the battery on its edges like this, because if you push it across the top and bottom, you could short it out and discharge the battery pretty quickly. So that's on, back on. and I'll just put it back on the tyre and we'll see if that's made any difference. And it has. It stopped beeping immediately and it's got a pressure on there already. So that battery there was on its way out and was getting flat. These things happen. It's done by radio, Wi-Fi. Batteries go flat, I'm afraid. So that's what happens. Right, let's talk about the options that we have. By far the easiest option we have was the stick for deflating tyres. Readily available anywhere. You can find something like this almost anywhere in Australia. That will get you out of trouble. It won't inflate your tyre, but it'll definitely deflate it. It's probably the most convenient. It's probably the easiest to find. Then we go on to the screwdriver. Now you may not have a screwdriver that fits, but you may have something that fits. That will work. I would say that using the Schrader tool, while it's designed to do this job, is very fiddly and is probably the most awkward method of most risky, because when you're taking that valve out, if you don't catch it and you drop it in the long grass, it's gone. You've got to carry spares. Maybe the most convenient method is the four of these, because by the time you've put it on one and you've walked around and put it on all the others, you get back to the first one, it's finished. You take it off, replace the cap. To the second one, it's finished. You take it off, you replace the cap. To the third one, and so on. So maybe the most convenient. The most inconvenient is this one. This one is a bit fiddly to use. However, this is by far the fastest method to deflate your tyres. And they're not expensive. This is an ARB lookalike that I got off eBay, and it cost me something in the region of about $20. Not expensive at all. Keep your spare parts in the box with it. I just bought one of these actually, a Giants one, for somebody for their birthday, and it cost me $20, $24 or something like that, because it's a named one. Anyway, if you've got any questions about deflating your tyres, please leave them in the comments below. If you got something from this, please leave a comment to say it was very informative. If you haven't got anything, then that's fine. You don't need to leave a comment, just ignore the video. You've got to remember that not everybody knows, so it's worthwhile doing these for the one or two that don't know. I've come across certain people who have no idea how a tyre deflator works. Just type in the box. Yes, it will help. People like that will help, I hope. So please like and subscribe. If you want to follow the channel, you can join me on Patreon. It costs you $5 a month. You get exclusive access to merchandise, and you get access to all the paperwork I produce when I script these videos. All the links are in there and everything like that, all the charts and information. I haven't scripted this one, so I won't be able to put anything up, but I'm sure you'll be able to understand this one. Another thing of Patreon is if you join, there's only one tier, $5 a month. If you join and you stay for 3 months, you get a channel mug. It's sent to you automatically. If you can't do Patreon, $5 a month is too much, then you can always buy me a coffee. Some people buy 3 coffees, some buy 1 coffee. I don't really mind what you buy. It's just a way of making money so I can keep the channel running, because it's not monetized by YouTube, not yet anyway. Maybe I'll, consider reducing my tier fees and things like that once I start monetizing this and making a little bit of money from YouTube. My goal is to replace this camera that we're using with one with a remote microphone, so I can have it on my lapel and you can hear me a bit better. I don't have to have the camera so close then. If you can't buy me a coffee or Patreon, thank you very much for coming along. I don't mind if you can't afford anything. Please feel free to join us anytime, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video, which is likely to be the dismantling of my roof rack. See you then. Bye.